Deep Rock Galactic is not the game that it seems to be at first glance. You have a right to think that this is another generic shooter for just a couple of hours, all about entering the map, completing the objective, and getting out of there alive. However, the game bravely starts to prove you wrong from its very first gameplay moments. The first thing you notice as you begin to play Deep Rock Galactic is its levels. Twisted networks of procedurally generated caves of planet Hoxis 4, presented in a wide variety of shapes and sizes. They set such tasks before the player that you normally wouldn't expect from an FPS. We are playing as space gnomes. Oh, I mean dwarves. What does every bearded shorty love? Well, naturally, but also gold! But what if this gold is on a cave's wall, couple of dozens of meters high? Moreover, what if these caves don't have any natural sources of light? The game gives you 4 classes to choose from, each with their own unique tools to solve any problems they can encounter. For example, Scout can illuminate the caves with his flare gun, and then quickly get to minerals with his grappling hook. But what if the target is in a really unreachable place? Help! This is where Engineer comes into play with his platform gun, a flexible tool that can be used to create stairs, bridges, safety mats that often falls from great heights, and basically everything his drunken mind is capable to imagine. Rock on! The actions of this tool are dictated by the cave, that can be quite a capricious lady. Driller though doesn't give a damn about this madame. This gigachat of a dwarf doesn't know what turn means. For him, the shortest path from point A to point B is a straight line. And if you're feeling too lazy to dig today, a pack of C4 is at your service. Oof, if these 3 classes have such powerful ways to traverse around, I'm terrified to think about what the last class is capable of. Gunner. He is more about overcoming obstacles of different kind. You are far from alone in these caves. They're crawling with representatives of local flora and fauna, starting with aggressive bugs ranging in size from a cat to a house, and ending with robots of rival mining company. Here, the shooter part of the game begins, and it's phenomenally good. The combat system can be simply described as juicy. Bugs meat is tenderized by buckshot, then minced by minigun's volleys, after that it's roasted until it's well done, and microwaved ice cream is served as a dessert. Trust me, it's delicious. The bugs themselves also shine with variety. At the moment of the video release, the game's bestiary counted 74 entries, and most of them require a unique approach. A simple example would be flying Macteras. These chubbies can rip off a half of your beard with 1 acid speed, but their attacks can be easily avoided by simply strafing. Now say hello to a Mactera Trijo. It can perfectly predict your movement. So how can you avoid this?
Dio! ほう、向かってくるのか。逃げずにこのディオに近づいてくるのか。近づかなきゃてめえをぶちのめせないんでな。ほうほう。では十分近づくがよい。何?
Easy? Yeah, just wait until you see a bunch of them. At the same time, it's hard to get confused in this diversity of enemies due to their outstanding design. Every bug has a distinct bright coloring and a recognizable silhouette. A swift glance is enough for an experienced dwarf to assess the situation and to highlight the most important target at the moment. Yes, this game design philosophy is far from new.
Oh, is that a cyber demon?
But the developers didn't stop on this and placed specific groups of enemies on the appropriate parts of the screen. Thus, the bulk of the swarm, capable of attacking only in melee range, will be at your eye level, flying enemies will be slightly above them, and ceiling will house different types of speeder-type bugs. This way, dangerous ranged enemies are always in your sight, and you can see the impending balls of concentrated death at any time and unexpected parts of the screen. The variety of Hoxis 4 invertebrate species truly reveals the co-op aspect of Deep Rock Galactic. Scout's flare gun can unveil bug hordes hiding in the darkness of the caves, allowing his teammates to deal with them from a safe distance. And by utilizing his neck-breaking mobility and high base damage weaponry, he is able to effectively assassinate bugs that currently pose the most threat for the team. Engineer is great at dealing with annoying small enemies with his automated turrets, and his platform gun can be utilized to close entire attack directions, greatly increasing the effectiveness of concentrated fire. Driller is always ready to provide invaluable resource for the team, a space for maneuver, and his flamethrower and other Geneva Convention violations solve the problem of hordes of medium-sized bugs. However, the bug swarm can feel the counter to any tactics of Beardies. Septic Spreaders will force you to change your position. Stinktails will try to yoink a dwarf away from his comrades. Team under the impenetrable gunner shield should beware of Coroner Shellback. And if your smartest driller dig a bunker without an emergency exit, giant Glyphid bulk detonator will make sure that your fortification turns into a mass grave. Wildlife Oxys 4 applies constant pressure on the players, not allowing any of them to stand still even for a moment. But the dwarves we are playing as are not the typical Tolkien dwarves in Dune and Adamantine. The dwarves of Deep Rock Galactic are fast. The game presents you a broad set of ways to hop around in blistering speeds, in order to escape hordes of bugs that are equally fast, and some examples of dwarven equipment never shy to provide an insane amount of verticality. Another element that increases the game's pacing is the finiteness of ammo. It can be replenished by mining a red mineral called nitra, scattered around in limited quantities. If you waste too much time in the caves, you risk to completely mine out the map and being left with only a trusty pickaxe.
You have not enough minerals.
As many other great representatives of the genre, Deep Rock puts a constantly changing, dynamic list of tasks in front of a player, which should be dealt with on the fly. Kinda reminds me of my job. Even outside of battle, time management and decision-making never ceases. Should I rush the main objective, or stop and mine some resources? Should I dig in and prepare for an impending wave of monsters, or don't waste any time and begin exploring the next section of the cave? Should I do this task, or leave it to a class with some more appropriate tools? At the same time, the game practically doesn't limit the players in ways of completing the objectives, and fully destructible terrain often favors a creative approach. My favorite example always will be on-site refinery missions, where you need to connect the pipelines from the refinery to pump jacks and extract liquid morkite. You can lay the pipelines inside the natural caves. You can shorten the path by building a bridge, or you can dig a straight tunnel between them. And if Mactera Brew went straight to your head, nothing can stop you from turning the entire cave into a roller coaster.
You know, you're not being paid by the hour. Get to work.
Considering all I have mentioned by now, it is already enough to create a high-quality FPS that can stand out among other games of this genre. Introducing builds. Every weapon in the game has its own upgrade tree. Some upgrades are just a direct bonuses to the gun stats. Others can unlock entire alternative fire modes. To top it off, let's throw in overclocks, unique modifications that can completely change the behavior of a gun. Gunner's rocket launcher is a good example of this system. In stock configuration, it shoots micro-rockets that follow the player's crosshair. By utilizing just the upgrade tree, the player can kick up single target damage, making it an effective tool for demolishing tanky enemies, or increase its area of effect, turning the rocket launcher into a convenient swarmer killer. Now let's add overclocks. We receive shotgun rocket launcher, machine gun rocket launcher, mine layer rocket launcher, plasma rockets that cosplay a swarm of angry bees, and cluster rockets that divide midair into many explosive sub-projectiles. And thanks God it doesn't deal that much friendly fire damage. I've just listed 7 different builds for just one gun. And don't even get me started about the crossbow. Depending on which upgrades and overclocks you have chosen, it can shoot regular bolts, ricochet bolts, triple bolts, fire bolts, ice bolts, electric bolts, pheromone bolts, chemical bolts, explosive oops, wrong game. Overclock system flips the gameplay on its head, sometimes completely turning around the role of the weapon. Convert the boomstick into the most effective Terroso tool, make minigun an effective weapon even in the hands of a hopelessly drunk dwarf, ignore walls, turn the cave into a dance party, use engineers' platforms as a weapon of mass destruction or no less mass trolling. On average, every gun in the game can be built in 4 different ways. Every class can choose from 6 different weapons. And there are 4 classes in the game. We get approximately 96 possible weapon builds. And I haven't even mentioned 4 different grenades for each class. active and passive perks, tool upgrades. The time I have spent in the caves of Hox is closest to 800 hours, and I still haven't tried all the builds that I want, because I have not played the old ones enough. At the same time, you don't have to learn the upgrade tree by heart, or do complex math in order to squeeze maximum DPS. All what you need is to choose 5 upgrades and an overclock. And that's all. The only one serious drawback of the system is the number of available build slots. Only 6 for each class.
That's kind of small.
Dear Ghost Games, please increase the number of slots. At least this much. There, now that's enough. And as I mentioned earlier, every level is procedurally generated, creating a random set of enemies and filling the cave with additional tasks, activities and dangers. Sometimes it's another world in the mines, and sometimes Hoxis wants you dead.
Надо запись ключу, блять. Блять, это ж пиздец. Блять, сейчас один бахнет.
In summary, fast-paced gameplay with high skill ceiling, randomly generated levels, and simple yet rich in possibilities upgrade system offers insane variety and crazy replayability. Playing Deep Rock, I felt myself again as a dweller of Doom World, downloading one Doom VOD after another, and that's the highest praise that I can ever give to an FPS.
Think fast, Chucklenut!
But I still haven't mentioned the most important tool in Dwarven Arsenal, V button. Upon pressing it, the character raises his pickaxe and says
For rock and stone!
it doesn't provide any buffs, doesn't kill any enemies. Dwarf simply raises his pickaxe. Let's do a small experiment. We are going to connect to the first server in the list, and our very first action in the match is going to be pressing V. Hey, what a friendly player! Repeat the experiment.
Action time! Rock and stone in the heart of the good.
Maybe I'm just lucky. Let's try it for the third time.
Rock and stone, everyone!
Players tell each other that they are ready? GG after each match? Am I seeing manners in my computer game?
Come on, guys! Rock and stone, you
To be completely fair, co-op games without any PvP have low toxicity by themselves, because there's nothing to compete for, and the team always has a common enemy. But Ghost Ship games went even further. First of all, the philosophy of the game co-op could be described as work for yourself, help each other. Let's be honest and confess together that most of us care about ourselves first. By utilizing the tools of the class I have chosen, Deep Rock Galactic players achieve their own goals. However, the result of the work that they have done in the process can be used by any member of the team. For example, Engineer have made a platform to soften his fall, and now his teammates can use it too, and silently appreciate the Engineer's work. Though he just wanted to explore the cave alone. The simplicity of Dwarven equipment is deceiving. It hides quite a delicate game design, which masks, blurs the boundary between acts of altruism or egoism. And there are some significant reasons why the classes don't have any alternatives to their traversal tools or to any overclocks for them.
Question about overclocks on the traversal tools. So those are kind of actually the main identity of the class. And so it is very tricky for us to do something like overclocks, because the whole point of overclocks is for them to actually really change up how the gun feels, how the gun plays. And that could be very easily problematic with traversal tools, because your team relies on you being able to do certain things.
That's a long time ago. We actually had a perk that was called jump boots that allowed the player to double jump. What we saw was that if you, for example, play as an engineer, you suddenly are setting your platforms with a bigger spread, and then suddenly the dwarves are not sharing traversal. Then we saw that this was not good for game balance, and we pulled it out.
Then why you gave Engineer rocket jump? Alright, every rule has an exception, and in this case, it's an extremely fun one. By no means less important element of the game design is the absence of strict requirements to the team composition. Every dwarf has everything he needs to beat the mission by himself. One class simply does something better than the others. You don't have to wait until Driller digs the passage, or Scout lights up the cave. You can do all of it by yourself. Of course, it's always optimal to have a well-balanced team, but nothing prevents you from completing the mission solo or go full engineer gaming. A side effect of such system is the importance of the player's own skill. A greybeard can carry the run even if the rest of the team is composed of 1.5 dirt diggers with strong ethanol intoxication. The cherry on the top of the social element of the game is its ping system. Upon pressing Ctrl, Dwarf grabs a laser pointer, which can be used to mark a place,
Dirt!
an object,
What the heck is this?
or an enemy,
Dirt!
while simultaneously providing a comment to every ping, explaining to new players what you should do with a found object, how to defeat a specific enemy, or just making some juicy one-liners.
Here, slow but tough, just like me mum.
There are only 3 buttons to communicate with each other, and it's enough to completely forget about the existence of push-to-talk, thus achieving something I have deemed impossible long ago: maintaining the atmosphere in a co-op game. The dwarves won't shut up even for a second, which sugarcoats the game in a thick layer of charm.
What's the moving turd?
This, and the overall cartoonish style of Deep Rock, makes the spirit of the game really reminiscent of Team Fortress 2. The souls of both games are weaved not only by their developers, but also by their communities. Due to exceptional work of Ghost Ship Games on the eradication of toxicity and refining the atmosphere of the game, the player base turned into a real cult in the most positive way possible, who are extremely friendly to greenbeards and are always welcome to invite new players into their sometimes strange but undoubtedly wholesome rituals.
Mushroom, shut it! Get back to work!
Mushroom! Mushroom!
I love Deep Rock Galactic. I love it from the bottom of my heart.
Huh?
This is a game that prioritizes something that modern gaming industry simply forgot about. Something that games were made for in the first place. Fun! The enjoyment of the game. Basically, the caves of Hoxie's 4 are those labyrinths for kids in shopping malls. A place where true friendships are forged and disappear just as quickly. Deep Rock was done right at so many levels. Behind simple mechanics and blocky dwarven faces without a hint of facial animation hides in many ways unique, well thought, complex and deep in every sense co-op shooter with probably the best community of the players that I have ever seen in any video game. And perhaps the main lesson that Dwarves of Deep Rock Galactic can teach you: do what you can do best. Even if it's team killing, speedrunning Hangover, or digging shafts into nowhere. And the trace in history that was left by you will be righteously appreciated by friends and colleagues around you.
Rock and stone to the bone! Things about